about spirit encounters. What spiritual
The
encounters have you
spirits that
had?
I had,
Yes.
the spirits,
Yes.
what do I want to call it? Events that I've had.
Uh-huh.
The first one, I was 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I had just got to California. I'm originally from Kansas City area, right?
Cool.
And at 17, I went to California to start my adult life.
Really? Because you...
And
California?
yeah.
Anyways.
And shortly after I got there, my father passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And I had just moved to another house when it happened, so the mail didn't get to me until after the fact. And once I got the letter and read it that night, over in the corner, I'll never forget, my father's face appeared.
Mm-hmm.
And said, everything's going to be all right, right?
Really?
And then he just told me, remember what I taught you about life. And then he just disappeared, you know. I was like, whoa, first time ever.
Yeah.
And I'm a person that feels anything is possible. Even if I don't necessarily believe it or want to believe it, it's still possible in my world.
Yeah, if I
Because
can wish.
number one, I don't know everything, right?
Yeah.
Never will.
Yeah.
So things that other people may say is not true,
Mm-hmm.
my thoughts are it could be true. Anything is possible.
Could be.
So that was my first experience. The second one was after I got out of the military, they wanted to do an experiment.
Oh, wow.
I had a slight speech impediment
Mm-hmm.
because my lower jawbone was larger than my upper jawbone. So when I closed my mouth, it would leave a pretty good gap. And I couldn't pronounce S, Z, CH, words like that.
Like Sydney.
I couldn't pronounce them. You wouldn't understand what I was saying unless I repeated it 15 times.
Say Sydney. Sydney Brady.
Say it who?
Say Sydney Brady. Sydney Brady.
Cindy Brady?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, you said it.
Okay. But anyway, I gambled because he told me if it comes out right, that speech impediment will pretty much be gone. You know, they worked a mode and shit like that. So it was a gamble because since they were cutting this section here totally out,
Mm-hmm.
and then cutting, I think it was one side to bring it smaller,
Mm-hmm.
to make it smaller and match the upper jawbone.
Mm-hmm.
Doing that, it could have hit a nerve, and then I wouldn't be able to talk.
Oh.
So it was a hell of a gamble, and it was an experiment.
Yeah.
So I gambled,
Really?
and I did it. So it came out okay. But in the process of that operation, of that surgery,
Mm-hmm.
after they gave me the anesthesia for the first time in my life,
Mm-hmm.
I suddenly rose out of my body.
Oh, wow.
And I'm floating like an angel or something in the air, looking down at the table with my body laying there, and the surgeon, the nurses. I'm looking at them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what the hell? Have I died?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or astral projected.
And shortly later, a bright light caught my attention.
Really?
I mean, the brightest light I've ever seen. And I've never seen anything like that ever before or after. So that light caught my eye, caught my attention, and so I floated. And then it was a round tunnel. So I floated inside trying to reach that light because it appeared to be on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And so I floated through this tunnel.
Yeah.
And when I thought I was right there to be able to touch the light, I came to in my body. And the surgeon said, there you are.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, what? He said, we almost lost you.
Really?
And I was like, that was real then.
Oh my God.
Okay, that was not a dream.
Yes.
I'm like, damn. So he told me afterward, he says, you're not a good candidate for surgery.
Really?
He said, hopefully you won't have to have any in your life because you're not a good candidate. You could, apparently, I don't know, I didn't ask any questions about did they resuscitate me or anything. Once he said, you're not a good candidate, I left it alone. I was like, oh shit. And luckily, I was good until recently. It wasn't really surgery. I had a colonoscopy not too long ago.
Colonoscopy.
And they have to put you under to do that. And so I had to let them know because they asked me, have I ever had any bad experiences? And my surgeon out in California said, if you ever have to be put under, let them know what happened to you.
Because of the...
It's very important.
The stuff that puts you
That way
out
they don't
made
give
you
you
have
too
an
much,
affairs?
Okay. They might have gave you too much, I don't know.
Okay.
It was my first time, see. So that's why it's kind of hard to say whether it's too much or I'm not a good candidate.
Allergic to it or something.
My heart ticks good and all the above, but and not like I said, I was really young. Shit, I was when that happened. Shit, I would have been in my early 20s. Let's see, 22. Is when I was 22 when I got out. So we're talking about probably about 23 years old.
You know any other experiences spiritually?
One other.
Okay.
Another one just came to me. Before I moved here to Oklahoma, I was living in Arizona. And this is a funny one. Because when I left Kansas, I hadn't came back. I hadn't communicate with anybody, family. Got a large family. Didn't communicate. I was out there in the world experiencing life, right? Wasn't mad at anybody. I was just enjoying life. And so after moving to Arizona, something came over me to go home, see my family. I have 2 sons. Introduce your sons to their family. That's part of your job as a parent. And I was lacking that, I don't know everything, right? But that is part of parenting. They don't have to like the family. They don't have to associate with the family, but it's their job to introduce them to their family.
Right on.
So I went home, came back. I never forget, we had a counter bar, outside of the kitchen. And I'm sitting there up on the stool, drinking a little wine, and something said to me, I said to the family, I said, boy, that was a little bit depressing, being back home. I says, I'm not going back there ever again. And a voice said to me, yes, you are. And in my mind, not in my mouth, in my mind, I spoke back and said, oh, no, I'm not. Who do you think you are? And the voice said, be ready next year, same time, same place.
Wow.
And I left it alone, right? I didn't think about it.
Oh, wow.
Well, a year later,
Wow.
I didn't plan. And suddenly I said, pack up. The family said, where are we going? I said, back to Kansas. The wife said, I thought you said you wasn't going back there anymore. I said, yeah, I did, huh? Something's, I didn't say it to her, but I'm saying to myself, something's controlling me. Okay, that's making me do this. Because, I felt for many years of my life, I thought I was running the show and in control, right?
Yeah.
I was brought up in a church in the spiritual world as well.
Right.
So I know about Jesus and all the above, and I believe. I don't go to church every week or hardly at all.
You don't need church to see Jesus.
And so, but the family that I came from, they're on one side of this family. Oh my
uptight, strict, or something?
What's the word I want?
Uptight.
Holy rollers. I was trying to think of something.
Yeah.
They really, I got an uncle. My mom's only brother left, lives in Spiral. He feels like he has to go every Sunday over here to Fort Smith, no matter what. If there's a goddamn tornado out there, he might hesitate and pray. And if he feels that the Spirit told him to go, he will go. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Right.
He's like, what? That's what the Spirit is all about. No, sir. There's evil spirits also, right? I said, God gave you a damn brain to think with. And if there's a damn tornado out there, keep your butt inside. You don't need to. You can miss church. It's not gonna you know. I don't like to get into conversations with him about religion or politics. Because we see it differently. And he's very I'm stubborn as well. I got it from my mom's side of the family. They're stubborn as hell. So it took him about 5 or 6 years to finally ask me to take him to the VA to register to see if he qualified for medical services at the VA. And the reason he wouldn't do it because someone told him that he wasn't a veteran. And he believed it. And I'm like, you spent 2 years. He said, well, I wasn't really in a war. It don't matter. A veteran is a veteran.
So,
period.
Those are
and he just, since that one person told him he wasn't a veteran, he just refused. And man, financially, those bills started, medical bill, medicines for his wife and all that, kicked him in the van. And he decided, man, let me see what my nephew is talking about. So he finally called me, could you take me to the VA? I'm like, you spending all that money? Now it saved him, once he finally got in there, it saved him like $400 to $500 a month. That he was spending unnecessary. When he could have got it for
when
free.
you went back to Kansas,
I went back actually
what was happening?
every year.
6
years in a row. When I get the second time I went, like I said, I just went and came back. I said the same thing again. Woo, I'm depressed a little bit. I'm not going back there. The family was really depressing me just by the way they were thinking and living. I'm no better than anyone, and no one's better than me. But I came from a sheltered family, very sheltered. At one period of time, and I'm speaking of the older generation, my mom and her sisters and her 2 brothers, they were very sheltered, and they, in the beginning, they went nowhere, but right there in the same town. They had never been out of the state, except for the younger uncle. He did go into the army, and he went overseas. He went to Germany, come to think of Berlin. So his brother, that's older than him though, and all his sisters looked up to him because he had more experience about the world than they had. So by me going to California, I was the first, actually, and I'm the second generation, or really the third, because my grandfather was alive when I was born. So I'm actually I was actually the third generation, to my understanding. But I was the first to leave and go that far, especially out there in this world by myself per se. I wasn't totally by myself. There was a first cousin that went with me.
So when you went to the Kansas, did anything spiritual happen there just because you were told to do it, or what? It was just a little thing to see how depressed
just
you could
every
be?
year, and here's what part of the continuous trips were about. I didn't know it, but I finally found out. I was being guided, and I was dealing with my father's grave, or spiritually. I would go to his grave every year, put flowers, and talk to him, mentally talk to him. And so after that 6th year, When I did it on the 6th year, I remember I was on my knees. I looked down at this grave deal, and I said, Pops, I won't be back for a while. You know, I've been 6 years straight. I completed my mission. I was on a mission and didn't know it, okay?
Yeah.
But I needed to make that closure, and I didn't know I needed it. I was spiritually guided into it.
Maybe.
And once I completed it, after 6 year, I didn't go back for a while.
Great. Okay, I got questions to ask you though.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do if